If you're packing up your gardening tools right now, hang on a sec. November might just be the secret month that separates smart gardeners from frustrated ones. I know it sounds odd because everyone's talking about winding down, covering beds, and waiting for spring, but that's exactly when I get started. See, this time of year isn't a dead zone without all the chaos. Most folks think it's too cold for anything to grow, but I've got fresh greens popping up while they're spending extra at the grocery store. I'm talking spinach, kale, lettuce, garlic, all quietly thriving while everyone else is hibernating. So before you call it a season, stay with me because these 10 crops will make you grateful you didn't quit this month. November gardening isn't about fancy tricks. It's about timing and knowing what actually thrives in cool soil. It's the kind of month that rewards patience and a bit of quiet confidence. You don't need heated greenhouses or expensive gadgets. You just need to know which crops love the chill and how to give them a simple, steady start. I've been planting through chilly Novembers for years now. And believe me, I've learned the hard way what works and what just wastes seed money. I've sown things that never sprouted. I've overwatered when the soil was already soaked. And I've watched seedlings turn into popsicles overnight. But through all that trial and error, I figured out the rhythm of this season. And once I did, it completely changed how I garden. So if you're tired of guessing, tired of planting stuff that never seems to make it past December, this list will save you time, money, and a lot of frustration. These are crops that don't just survive November, they thrive in it. Think of me like your garden buddy who's made every mistake possible, so you don't have to. I've done the experimenting, and I'm just here to share what actually works, plain and simple. First up, spinach. If you want a green that practically begs for cold weather, this is it. Spinach is one of those crops that actually loves the chill. When everyone else thinks the season's over, spinach is just getting started. It's cold hardy, fast growing, and super forgiving. Perfect for both beginners and folks who've been doing this for years. Here's how to do it right. Sow it directly in your garden soil or in a deep container. Just about ½ an inch deep is all it needs. Don't bury it like treasure. Spinach doesn't ask for much, just well-draining soil and a little patience. Now here's my secret. Cover it lightly with a bit of mulch. Straw, dried leaves, whatever you've got. Think of it like tucking it in for a nap. That thin layer keeps it warm and cozy, protects it from the frost, and you'll be amazed at how tender the leaves turn out. When everyone else is scraping ice off their windshield, you'll be harvesting fresh greens for omelets and salads. Next, garlic. Oh, garlic. This one's my favorite fall ritual. The earlier you get it in the ground, the stronger and fatter those bulbs will be when you harvest them next summer. And the best part? It's the definition of low effort. Here's what to do. Grab a healthy garlic bulb, break it apart into cloves, and plant each clove with the pointy side up. About 2 inches deep into loose, rich soil is perfect. Give them about 6 inches between each one so they have room to stretch. Once you plant garlic in fall, it practically grows itself. You don't have to hover over it. You don't have to baby it. Just water occasionally if the soil gets too dry and let nature handle the rest. And don't make the classic mistake of forgetting where you planted them. I've done that more times than I'd like to admit. Ended up digging around in spring thinking I'd struck onion gold. Nope, just my own garlic bulbs staring back at me. By the time summer rolls around, you'll have plump, fragrant bulbs ready to harvest. And honestly, homegrown garlic, it's different. You can smell the freshness the moment you pull it from the ground. Now, kale. This one deserves a medal. Kale doesn't just survive the cold, it thrives in it. The funny thing about kale is that frost actually makes the leaves sweeter. It's like the cold air tells it, hey, toughen up. And kale says, sure, but let me get tastier while I do. If you've never grown kale before, don't overthink it. You can scatter the seeds directly into the ground or start with small seedlings from your local nursery. It's not picky. Just make sure it's getting some sunlight and a bit of protection from strong winds. Keep it watered, not soaked, just enough to keep the soil damp. And if you want to help it along, a thin layer of compost will make it sing. You'll start to see those rich green or purple leaves coming in before you know it. Here's the truth about kale. It's like that tough friend who still shows up when everyone else cancels. When frost takes out your other greens, kale's standing tall, unbothered. And it keeps growing for months. You can keep harvesting the outer leaves and let the center keep producing. It's reliable, it's healthy, and it's beautiful in the garden, a real show-off in the best way.
Now let's move on to the next set of crops that quietly work their magic while the rest of your garden is snoozing. These ones are steady, reliable, and honestly, they make you feel like a genius when you see them thriving in cool weather. Carrots. Oh, I love these little underground workers. When you plant carrots in November, they don't rush, they take their sweet time. But that's a good thing. The cool weather slows down their growth, which means they develop flavor, texture, and that natural sweetness you can't get from store-bought ones. The cold actually turns their starch into sugar, so every bite tastes fresher and cleaner. To give carrots the best start, the trick is in the soil. You want it loose and fluffy, no rocks, no clumps, just a nice open space for them to stretch down deep. Think of it like giving them their own lane to grow straight and strong. Plant them in shallow rows, just about a 1/4 inch deep, and keep the spacing consistent. Now, here's where a lot of gardeners mess up. They crowd the seeds. Don't do it. Give them some breathing room, because when carrots are elbow to elbow, they end up stunted and twisted. And honestly, nobody likes elbows in their ribs, not even carrots. Keep the soil moist, but never soggy, and be patient. They'll reward you with beautiful crisp roots come late winter or early spring. Next up, lettuce, especially the cold hardy varieties. You might think lettuce is fragile, but oh no, it's actually one of the most forgiving crops you can grow this season. The cool air keeps it from bolting, and the flavor stays mild and crisp, perfect for those of us who can't go without fresh greens even in the colder months. Lettuce doesn't need fancy equipment either. You can sow it directly in raised beds, in trays, or even in wide, shallow containers if you're short on space. Just sprinkle the seeds, press them lightly into the soil, and water gently. If your nights drop too cold, just drape a frost cloth or an old sheet over them. It's like giving your plants a warm blanket for bedtime. Here's my little trick that keeps me in salad heaven all season. I plant a small batch every 2 weeks instead of dumping all the seeds at once. That way, I don't end up with a mountain of lettuce one week and nothing the next. It gives me a steady supply of tender greens that stay young and flavorful. Plus, it feels good knowing I can harvest just what I need for dinner. And now, peas. If there's one crop that's tougher than it looks, it's peas. These little guys don't mind the cold at all. In fact, they seem to enjoy it. They handle frost better than most vegetables, and while they're busy climbing, they're also working quietly underground, fixing nitrogen into your soil. That means they're enriching the earth for whatever you plant next. Talk about a polite guest in your garden. Plant your pea seeds about 2 inches apart in rows, and if you can, give them something to climb. A trellis, a wire frame, even a few sticks will do. They don't need much, just something to lean on as they grow. Keep the soil moist, especially during germination, and once they get going, you'll notice how effortlessly they grow. If a light frost shows up, don't panic. Peas are tougher than they look. Just give them a little pep talk. Seriously, it works for me. They'll bounce right back once the sun's out again. And when those pods start forming, oh, you'll understand why they're worth the wait. Fresh peas straight from the garden taste nothing like the frozen kind. They're sweet, crisp, and pure joy to snack on while you're outside. All right, let's keep the momentum going, because these next 3 crops are the quiet overachievers of November gardens. They're the ones that make you walk outside in January, look around, and think, wow, my garden's still alive and kicking. Let's start with onions. If you've never planted onions in the fall, you're missing out on one of the easiest garden wins ever. Fall planting gives them a head start while the soil is still workable, and by the time spring rolls around, they're already miles ahead of the game. That early start means bigger, stronger bulbs, exactly what you want when it's harvest time. Now, when it comes to onions, you've got 2 easy choices, sets or seedlings. Sets are those small, pre-grown bulbs, super convenient, especially if you're new to gardening. Seedlings work great too if you've got a little patience. Whichever you choose, the process is simple. Push them gently into well-drained soil, about 1 inch deep, and space them about 4 inches apart. Don't bury them too far. They just need to sit snugly in the soil with their tips poking up like tiny noses. Here's something to remember. Onions hate soggy feet. If your garden tends to stay wet or holds too much water after rain, don't risk it. Plant them in raised beds or mounds so the excess moisture drains away. Good drainage is key to getting firm, healthy bulbs instead of mushy disappointments. Once they're in, that's pretty much it. They don't ask for constant attention, just a little water when the soil dries out, a bit of mulch to keep them cozy, and they'll do the rest. It's almost unfair how easy they are. And when you finally harvest them, the flavor difference will blow you away. Fresh, crisp, and full of that real onion punch that store-bought ones just don't have. Next, radishes. If you want quick results, something that makes you feel like a gardening pro in just days, this is your crop. Radishes are basically the instant noodles of gardening. They grow fast, they don't fuss, and they don't care that it's November. In fact, they actually prefer the cool air.
All you have to do is sprinkle the seeds over your soil or container, then lightly cover them with a thin layer of dirt. That's it. Water gently, step back, and wait, though not for long. They'll start sprouting in less than a week, sometimes even just 3 or 4 days if the weather's right. It's that quick. The best part? You can keep planting them every week or two for a constant supply. They don't take up much space, so you can fit them between other crops or even in small containers. Keep the soil moist, not soaked, just damp enough for steady growth, and within 3 to 4 weeks, you'll have crisp, peppery roots ready to pull. They're so fast, they'll make you feel like a gardening genius. And if you've got kids or grandkids, let them plant a few. It's the perfect instant gratification plant. Watching those little green tops pop up so fast is pure excitement. And for you, it's another easy win in your November garden. Now, cilantro. This one's a personal favorite and a total secret weapon for any cool season gardener. If you've tried growing cilantro in the summer, you know it's frustrating. It bolts the second it gets too warm and leaves you with flowers instead of flavor. But November is cilantro's time to shine. The cooler air keeps it from bolting, and that means long-lasting, fragrant leaves that taste incredible in soups, salads, and sauces. This is the herb that wakes up your cooking when everything else feels dull and heavy. Here's how to grow it right. Sow the seeds thickly. Just scatter them generously over your soil or container and lightly press them down. Cilantro likes a bit of elbow room once it starts sprouting, so thin them out later if they're too close together. It's happiest in part sun. Some light in the morning and shade in the afternoon works beautifully. Too much direct heat and it gets cranky, so balance is key. Keep the soil slightly moist, and within a couple of weeks, you'll see those delicate green leaves starting to show up. Once it takes off, you can start harvesting the outer leaves as you need them, letting the plant keep producing from the center. And let me tell you, having fresh cilantro in the middle of winter, it's a game changer. I like to think of cilantro as that loyal friend who sticks around when everyone else leaves. When the basil's long gone and the parsley's fading, cilantro's right there, looking fresh and smelling amazing. It's one of those crops that quietly makes you look like you've got gardening all figured out. And finally, let's talk about Swiss chard, one of the most underrated, hard-working plants you can grow in November. I always tell people, if you want a crop that's both beautiful and practical, this is it. Swiss chard isn't just pretty to look at. Those colorful stems come in shades of red, yellow, pink, even white. It's also tough as nails. It laughs at the cold, shrugs off a bit of frost, and just keeps producing. While other greens throw in the towel, chard keeps showing up week after week. Now, the great thing about Swiss chard is that it doesn't ask for much. It's like that easygoing friend who never complains. You can grow it in garden beds, raised boxes, or even big pots if you're short on space. The key is to give the seeds a good start. Plant them about 1/2 inch deep in loose, fertile soil, spaced around 6 inches apart. That little bit of space gives each plant room to spread those big, glossy leaves. Water regularly, but don't drown them. Chard likes its soil to stay moist, not muddy. And if you can toss on a light layer of mulch, even better. It keeps the roots happy and the weeds quiet. Here's the part I love most. Swiss chard is what I call the gift that keeps on giving. Instead of pulling up the whole plant, just snip off the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. It'll keep sending out new leaves for months, even through winter if you protect it a little. You can harvest it again and again without ever running out. And honestly, there's nothing like walking out on a cold morning, seeing those colorful leaves glistening with dew, and knowing you've got fresh greens right there in your garden. You can sauté them, toss them in soups, even use the young leaves raw in salads. They're mild, earthy, and packed with nutrients. Swiss chard doesn't just feed you, it keeps your garden alive with color when everything else looks tired and gray. So if you plant just one more thing this month, make it chard. It'll reward you long after November's gone, and every time you harvest, you'll think, yeah, this one was worth it. Now, before you rush off to grab your seeds, let's slow down a bit, because I've seen a lot of November gardens go sideways for the same simple reasons. These are the little mistakes that can turn an easy season into a headache. Nothing dramatic, but worth fixing before you even start. First off, don't plant too deep, especially with small seeds. They're not digging a basement. I can't tell you how many times I've seen folks bury their poor spinach or lettuce like they're hiding treasure. Most of these little seeds just need a light covering, barely a whisper of soil over them. Too deep, and they'll waste all their energy trying to find daylight, and by the time they make it up, they're too weak to do much. Second, ease up on watering. Cold soil holds moisture way longer than a warm summer soil, so what was used to dry out in a day might now stay damp for a week. You don't need to turn your garden into a swamp. Stick your finger in the soil before you water. If it's still cool and moist about an inch down, skip it. Your plants would rather stay a little thirsty than have soggy roots gasping for air.
Next, and this one's funny but true, label your rows. Seriously, because nothing is worse than walking out in January, seeing a bunch of tiny green sprouts and thinking, okay, is that lettuce or carrots? Then you taste one and realize it's onions. Save yourself the confusion. Just grab a popsicle stick or an old plastic tag, write it down, and pop it in the ground. You'll thank yourself later when you're not playing mystery garden. And finally, be patient. November gardening moves at a slower pace. The soil's cool, the days are shorter, and the plants take their time. But that's not failure, it's just nature working on a different schedule. So resist the urge to dig things up because you don't see progress in a week. The magic's happening under the surface. So yeah, don't plant too deep, don't drown your soil, label your rows, and for goodness sake, give it time. Gardening in November isn't about speed, it's about faith and quiet rewards. Stick with it and you'll be grinning come spring. So, that's it. 10 crops that prove November isn't the end of gardening. It's not the finish line, it's really the quiet start of next season's success. While everyone else is putting their tools away and calling it quits, you'll be the one setting your garden up for an early, thriving spring. The work you do right now is like planting a promise. And come a few months, that promise pays off in fresh greens, strong roots, and a sense of pride that money just can't buy. And honestly, even if you don't plant all 10, try just 2. Pick a couple that sound easy or exciting and give them a go. I promise you, you'll see the difference by early spring, maybe even sooner. When you step outside and see those little green shoots pushing through the cold soil, you'll know you made the right call. It's one of those small wins that keeps your love for gardening alive. I'd love to hear from you too. Drop a comment and tell me what you're planting this month. I genuinely enjoy reading them. Your stories, your tips, your wins, even the funny mishaps. That's what makes this community special. We all learn together and every garden tells a different story. If this video helped you out or gave you a little motivation to head back into the garden, go ahead and tap that like button. It really helps more gardeners find their way here. And hey, share it with that one friend who's already packed up their gloves and thinks it's over for the year. Let's show them it's not. And if you're new here, welcome to Serene Green Gardens, where we keep it real, keep it simple, and keep those gardens growing all year long. Because gardening shouldn't be stressful or complicated. It should be joyful, rewarding, and just a little bit messy. The good kind of messy. Thanks for watching, friend. Now go plant something. Your future self will be proud you did.